If you're ready for an epic journey of faith, courage, and triumph against all odds, then you're in the right place. Daniel's story isn't just about surviving a den full of lions. It's about staying true to your beliefs, standing tall in the face of betrayal, and trusting that there's a greater plan at work even when everything seems impossible. From the grand halls of Babylon to the tense moments in the lion's den, this story will inspire, challenge, and move you. Each chapter is filled with vivid imagery, thrilling action, and deep emotions that will keep you hooked until the very last word. If you find this story as exciting and inspiring as we think you will, don't forget to white heavy checkmark subscribe for more incredible stories of faith and courage. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new chapter. Let's dive into this unforgettable journey together. Trust me, you won't want to miss a moment of Daniel's extraordinary tale. The city of Babylon, a marvel of the ancient world, stood as a testament to human ingenuity and power. Its hanging gardens, towering walls, and grand palaces were sights to behold, attracting traders, scholars, and rulers from far and wide. Amidst this grandeur, King Darius, the ruler of the vast empire, sought wise and trustworthy advisors to help govern the kingdom's many provinces. Among these advisors was Daniel, a man of extraordinary integrity. Despite being a foreigner, taken from Judah during the exile, Daniel had risen to prominence through his remarkable wisdom, humility, and unwavering faith in his God. His reputation for honesty and his ability to interpret dreams had made him one of the most respected figures in the court. King Darius admired Daniel greatly and, recognizing his capabilities, appointed him as one of the top 3 administrators over the kingdom's 120 provinces. Daniel's dedication and exceptional work ethic soon distinguished him above the other officials. Darius even considered setting him over the entire kingdom, a decision that did not sit well with the other administrators and satraps. As Daniel walked through the palace halls, the envious eyes of his peers followed him. They whispered amongst themselves, their jealousy growing with each passing day. "He's not even one of us," they would mutter. "A foreigner favored above all. We must do something before he gains even more power." The seeds of envy had been planted, and the jealous officials began to conspire against Daniel. They knew that trying to find corruption or negligence in his work would be futile. Daniel was blameless in all his dealings, a man of honor who followed the laws of both God and man. "We need to trap him," one of the conspirators whispered during a secret meeting. "But how? He's flawless in his duties. Not in everything. He's devoted to his God. If we can find a way to use his faith against him, we can bring him down." The plan was set into motion. They would watch Daniel closely, waiting for the perfect opportunity to use his own devout practices as a means of entrapment. But they needed the king's authority to ensure their plan would succeed. And so, the conspirators crafted a scheme that would leave Daniel with an impossible choice. This time with a clear plan in mind. Their goal was simple. They knew that Daniel prayed to his God 3 times a day, no matter the circumstances. If they could turn this devotion into a crime, they would have the leverage they needed. "King Darius is proud," said one of the officials, a man known for his cunning. "We can use his vanity to our advantage." "Yes," another agreed. "We'll propose a decree that will play to his ego. If we make it seem like it's for his glory, he'll sign it without a second thought." The next morning, the conspirators approached King Darius with feigned enthusiasm and respect. They bowed low before him, their eyes gleaming with the promise of loyalty. "O King Darius, live forever," they began in unison. "We have come with a proposal that will strengthen your reign and unite the people in their loyalty to you." Intrigued, the king leaned forward. "Speak then. What do you propose?" The officials exchanged knowing glances before one of them stepped forward. "We suggest that you issue a royal decree that for the next 30 days, no one in your kingdom shall pray to any god or human except to you, O king. Anyone who disobeys shall be thrown into the lion's den." Darius, flattered by the suggestion, saw it as a way to solidify his rule. A decree demanding exclusive worship would demonstrate his absolute authority over the people. Without much thought, he agreed. "This pleases me. Draft the decree, and I shall sign it." The decree was written, sealed with the king's signet ring, and proclaimed throughout the kingdom. The conspirators smirked in satisfaction, knowing that Daniel's fate was now sealed. They had created the perfect trap, one that even the king could not undo, as the laws of the Medes and Persians were unchangeable. As the news of the decree spread, Daniel heard of it as well. The decree meant that for 30 days, no one could pray to any god but Darius, or they would face the lion's den. Daniel's heart was troubled, not for his own safety, but for the kingdom that had fallen into such deceit. He knew what he had to do. His faith in God was unwavering, and he would not compromise it for any earthly law. And so, he returned to his room, where the windows opened towards Jerusalem, and knelt down to pray, just as he had always done. Unbeknownst to him, the conspirators were already watching, ready to spring their trap. Daniel's enemies watched him closely, their eyes gleaming with triumph. As expected, Daniel did not alter his routine. 3 times a day, he knelt by the open window of his room, facing Jerusalem, and prayed to his God. The conspirators quickly gathered the evidence they needed and rushed to the king. "O King Darius, did you not issue a decree that for 30 days, no one should pray to any god or human except you?" they asked, feigning concern. "Yes, and it stands unchangeable," Darius replied, unaware of their true intentions. "Then you should know, O king, that Daniel, one of the exiles from Judah, pays you no attention. He continues to pray 3 times a day to his God." Darius was struck with regret, realizing the trap laid before him. He admired Daniel and spent the rest of the day trying to find a way to save him. But the decree, sealed by the laws of the Medes and Persians, could not be revoked. By evening, the conspirators pressured the king, and Darius, with a heavy heart, ordered Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den, hoping against hope that Daniel's God would deliver him. As the sun set over Babylon, Daniel was brought before the lion's den. The air was thick with tension, and the growls of the hungry lions echoed ominously from the depths. King Darius, filled with remorse, approached Daniel one last time. "May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you," the king whispered, his voice heavy with guilt. The guards pushed Daniel into the pit, and the massive stone cover was rolled over the entrance, sealing him inside. The lions prowled around him, their eyes glowing in the dim light. But Daniel stood calm, his faith unshaken. Inside the den, Daniel knelt and prayed, trusting in God's protection. Suddenly, a brilliant light filled the darkness, and an angel appeared, silencing the lions and rendering them docile. Outside, Darius returned to his palace, tormented by the decision he had been forced to make. He refused all food and entertainment, spending a sleepless night, praying that somehow Daniel would be spared. As dawn approached, Darius hurried to the den, his heart pounding with anxiety. He called out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God been able to rescue you from the lions?" A moment of silence passed before a calm voice replied, "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths, so they have not harmed me." Relief flooded King Darius as he heard Daniel's voice echo from the depths of the den. "Quickly remove the stone," he commanded. The guards hurried to obey, rolling away the heavy stone cover. When Daniel emerged, he was unharmed, not a scratch on him. The onlookers gasped in astonishment, for they knew the lions had been starved to ensure they were ravenous. Darius marveled at the sight, realizing that Daniel's God had indeed delivered him. Darius announced to the gathered crowd, because he trusted in his God. The conspirators, who had eagerly awaited Daniel's demise, now stood paralyzed with fear. Their plan had failed, and the miraculous survival of Daniel exposed their treachery. Darius's eyes, once filled with sorrow, now burned with fury as he turned to face the corrupt officials who had deceived him. "Take them," the king ordered. "They and their families shall face the same fate they intended for Daniel." The conspirators and their families were thrown into the den, and before they even reached the ground, the lions overpowered them, demonstrating the true ferocity of the beasts that had miraculously spared Daniel. The miracle was undeniable. and word of Daniel's deliverance spread swiftly throughout Babylon. King Darius, still awed by the miracle he had witnessed, summoned his scribes and heralds to the palace. He could not ignore the power of Daniel's God, a God who could shut the mouths of lions and protect his faithful servant. Determined to honor this divine intervention, Darius decided to make a proclamation that would be heard throughout his vast empire. Standing before his court, the king declared, "Let it be known throughout all the provinces of my kingdom. I issue a new decree. All people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, enduring forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed, and his dominion will last without end. He rescues and saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions." The scribes quickly transcribed the decree, and royal messengers were dispatched to every corner of the kingdom to proclaim it. The people of Babylon, from the greatest to the least, were astonished by the king's words. Many began to speak of the God of Daniel with awe and respect, curious to know more about this God who could save so miraculously. Daniel, now vindicated, was restored to his position of high honor, and his influence grew even stronger. He continued to serve King Darius faithfully, using his position to inspire others with the story of God's faithfulness and power. As the kingdom buzzed with the news of the miraculous events, Daniel returned to his private chamber, his faithful room 19, where it had all begun. The room, with its open window facing Jerusalem, had been his sanctuary, a place where he sought God's presence each day. Daniel knelt once more, his heart overflowing with gratitude. "Great and mighty God," he prayed, "I thank you for your mercy and deliverance. You have shown your power before the nations, proving that you are the living God. May your name be praised forever." The events of the past days replayed in Daniel's mind. The decree, his arrest, the terrifying moments in the lion's den, and the sudden appearance of God's angel. He marveled at how God had turned a plot meant for his destruction into a powerful testimony of faith. Despite the threat of death, Daniel had never wavered. His decision to continue praying, even when it was forbidden, was a testament to his unwavering devotion. He realized now that his trials had served a greater purpose, bringing the true God into the hearts and minds of people across the Babylonian Empire. As he rose from his prayers, Daniel felt a renewed sense of peace. He knew his journey was far from over, but he was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead, confident that God would guide him as he always had. The ripple effect of Daniel's miraculous survival spread quickly. In the markets, at the city gates, and in the courtyards of Babylon, people whispered about the God who had shut the mouths of lions. Many of the citizens, who had previously worshipped the pantheon of Babylonian gods, began to question their beliefs. How could any other god compare to the one who performed such wonders? Priests and scholars were summoned to discuss these events, but none could deny the power of the God of Daniel. Some of the younger officials in the court, inspired by Daniel's unwavering faith, secretly began to pray to the God of Israel, seeking the same courage and peace that he displayed. Even King Darius found himself reflecting on the nature of faith and power. The miracle he had witnessed transformed his heart, making him more open to the wisdom of Daniel's God. Darius began to seek counsel not just in matters of state, but also in matters of the spirit, asking Daniel to teach him about the God who rescues and saves. The influence of Daniel's faith slowly started to reshape the spiritual landscape of the kingdom, sowing seeds of change that would outlast Darius's reign. Though Daniel's faith had been vindicated, not all in the court were pleased with the changes sweeping through Babylon. Some officials, still bitter over the downfall of their colleagues, harbored resentment against Daniel. They saw his influence as a threat to the old order and sought subtle ways to undermine him. Rumors and whispers began to circulate, questioning Daniel's loyalty and the power of his God. Yet every attempt to discredit him failed, as Daniel continued to serve with integrity and wisdom, earning the respect of the king and the people. One day, a young scribe named Eliab approached Daniel. "How do you remain so steadfast?" he asked, "even when the whole world seems against you?" Daniel smiled, placing a reassuring hand on the young man's shoulder. My faith is not in the strength of men or the power of kings, but in the one who rules over all. Trust in him, and you will never be shaken." The words resonated deeply with Eliab, marking the beginning of a quiet movement among those who longed for something greater than the gods of Babylon. As Daniel continued to serve in King Darius's court, he noticed a growing curiosity among some of the younger officials. One of them was Eliab, the young scribe who had previously sought Daniel's wisdom. Eliab was eager to learn more about the God who had delivered Daniel from the lions. One evening, after a long day at the palace, Eliab approached Daniel with a mix of awe and hesitancy. "Master Daniel," he began, "I have heard the stories of your God, the God of Israel, who saved you from the lions. I want to know more. Can you teach me about him?" Daniel saw sincerity in the young man's eyes. "It is not about me, Eliab, but about the one who is faithful to those who trust in him," Daniel replied. He invited Eliab to join him in his room, where he prayed 3 times a day. As the days passed, Eliab began to join Daniel in prayer, learning about the laws and stories of the God of Israel. This new friendship did not go unnoticed by the other officials, who were puzzled by the change in Eliab's demeanor. The young scribe's growing faith became a source of quiet strength, not only for himself, but for others who were seeking something beyond the idols of Babylon. Daniel found great joy in mentoring Eliab, seeing in him the seeds of a new generation that might one day transform the kingdom from within. Despite the growing admiration for Daniel and his God, these stories sparked curiosity among the people, many of whom had grown weary of the countless gods of Babylon. In the marketplaces and taverns, people gathered to hear more about the God of Israel. Even in the remote regions of the kingdom, small groups began to gather in secret to pray to this God who had proven his power. Among the people, there was a newfound hope that perhaps there was a God who truly listened, a God who cared for the righteous and delivered them from harm. Daniel's faith had planted seeds of change that no one, not even the most powerful of Babylon's gods, could uproot. As Daniel continued his daily prayers, he couldn't help but marvel at how God had used his trial to turn the hearts of many toward him. And so, Daniel's legacy lived on, inspiring generations to come. His story was told and retold, a testament to the power of unwavering faith in the face of adversity, a story of a man who trusted in his God and changed the world.